Hi, this is Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Brian Paul, owner and founder of MVK Music Group.
How's it going, everyone?
Could you tell us how you started the MVK Music Group?
Yeah, we get this asked about us a lot, and the big reason for us. So me, when I say us, I have two business partners, Attila and Jesse. We have been in different aspects of either music industry or in the business side. And one of the things in dealing with bands, we have a secondary company called Maverick Apparel Company, and on that side, we were endorsing bands for a long time here in the United States, in Europe, and whatnot. And one of the things that we've always seen, whether it was, I did a stint for a while with AEG Live Nation. And one of the things I always noticed is that bands were always kind of taken advantage of, right? So a lot of times what was happening is if there was a label, if it was a management company, PR firm, whatever, they were doing whatever it took to make money and profit off of the artist. And nobody was really putting the artist first. So Jesse Attila and I kind of sat down and we said, like, look, we have been talking about creating a full service artist management and development company already. And we said we need to really kind of hone in on what the focus is going to be. And our focus is really going to be putting artists first, right? So looking out for their best interests. And we wanted to create the culture that we treated them like family. So with that in mind, we created MVK to look at ways that we could strategize to really make the artists feel like they were important, like they mattered, and business kind of came second. The artist was truly first, and so we launched MVK. As mentioned, we kind of did it. We have a lot of different services, but we wanted to launch based on that premise that we were going to really kind of disrupt the system that we felt was kind of doing it the wrong way, and we wanted to create a pathway for artists to show them that there were people out there they could trust and that were looking out for their best interests in the music business.
What was your background before this? What kind of jobs did you have?
Yeah, I've been, I've been very entrepreneurial ever since I was, young. Um, I went to school actually to be a lawyer, and that didn't pan out. I kind of did that as a kind of a fallback because my family, my dad, my uncles, all of them were into law, and I was like, oh, it's an easy thing. I have a job when I get out. Well, I kind of realized that it's not really what I wanted to do. And I worked in business sectors. I did some stuff more so with corporate, I had corporate jobs. I worked, like I said, I did work in pro sports, and then I went in entertainment. I shifted gears into music, which was a huge passion of mine. And I worked for AEG and Live Nation doing event management, ticketing, event planning, and then kind of getting into some other aspects of the music industry. So that really gave me a taste of the actual business side of the music industry. And while I did learn a lot, I also learned the good, the bad, the ugly, and so that kind of set the pace for creating MVK.
How did you get people together to join this group? Like you have studios and other things. Did you just reach out to these people or
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, even, and it comes down to even our artists, right? We never once went after an artist. Like we felt like we didn't want to be those sharky kind of used car salesman type of guys that were like going out there and trying to, pick bands and partner with people just to say we're partner with them. So we've been blessed in the fact that everybody that we either partnered with or that we manage or we work with have all come to us, right? So on the artist standpoint, we had a lot of them we have contacts with. We're based here in Orlando, Florida. So about a third of our roster is here in Central Florida. And we've already had established relationships with them. Everybody else kind of came to us and looking for management, and we did our analysis like we normally do. On the partner side, with our producers, we're partnered with Super Dave, who's a good friend of ours. He's one of the radio hosts for the iHeart radio station, Rock Station here. It was all through contacts and connections, really. Our producers, I mean, our four producers are for the, I would say, four badasses in the industry as far as recording goes. And we were just connected with them, and that's kind of the beauty of this industry is getting to make contacts and network with people and meet people, and sometimes those best assets laying right in your lap. So we basically were either blessed with them coming to us or being introduced to us.
How many bands do you have currently on your roster now?
Yeah, so we currently have about 14, 15. I say that is a blend because we have some solo artists, and then we also have full bands. Very diverse roster. Our roster, so we pretty much range everywhere from rock, metal. We have country, we have reggae. Is primarily the focus is going to be that rock demographic, but they're all scattered across the U.S. Like I said, we're here in Orlando, so we do have a core group of bands that are here. Our country artist, he's actually on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Florida born and raised, in Naples, Fort Myers area. And then we have artists in Virginia, Chicago, um, Seattle, and then Louisiana, and Massachusetts as well. So they're kind of all spread out. But in total, like I said, we have about 14, 15 artists on our roster currently.
Do you go out and say, "Hey, I would like you on my roster," or they come to you, or how's that work?
Yeah, so as mentioned, we haven't really gone after a band in that way. When we kind of launched, the thing about MVK is, like I said, mentioned before, we had Maverick Apparel Company, which was our music themed apparel where we endorse bands and we sell online to fans and at events and stuff. And we had already kind of built up a name on the Maverick side with bands across the U.S. Just seeing that we were endorsing bands and what we were doing to help promote them. So we kind of already had established. So when we created MBK, we had a kind of a core group of these bands that were coming to us looking for management that we wanted to vet out and see. And not, obviously, like we have bands that we endorse on the Maverick side that we don't manage on the MBK side. So all of them pretty much came to us, either through social media or through contacts or just finding us and emailing us, and vetting them out. During the pandemic, actually, we were kind of shocked because while everything was shut down, we were getting our most inquiries about management during that time. I would say probably within a given month, over 100 a month. And we actually will take the time to review and go through and of course a lot of times they don't get selected, but we do provide feedback to them as to what they can do to continue to work and keep the focus. But um we've been fortunate enough that they've all come to us, and so we pride ourselves in the fact that because of the fact we keep our roster small so that we can give them the dedicated attention, that they are kind of like the chosen few, that we've been selective of that for a reason. And so looking at the bands we work with, we see that their vision, their talent, their marketability, all that stuff, is in alignment with what we feel is important to us.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, how do you go about vetting people, like bands and stuff, and what do you look for, like in that band that you're like, okay, we're gonna put them on our roster? Is there like certain things or what?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. And then Tella and Jesse would concur with me on this. Is that when we're looking at bands, we look at a few different things. The kind of overall thing is, do they have the look, the sound, and are they marketable, right? And we look at social media. Although some bands will say social media is not important, it's very important. Being present, engaging with your fans, having a pretty good discography of music released, having experience, playing, touring. Um, they don't have to be, the next big shine down or something like that. But what we do look for is bands that they've been around a little bit. It's not like something, "Oh, I created a band yesterday and now I want management." So we really look for bands that have that kind of cohesion, and have an understanding. And one of the I guess misunderstandings from a lot of bands is they think, "Hey, I got a band, we're really good, we need management," and that's usually not the case. Most of the time, they don't need management. That we try to explain to bands, like, you need management when you've gotten to the point that you can't handle inquiries for interviews or booking, and you're making it to the point of where everybody wants your attention and you just can't divvy up that time. And you need a manager to be able to, or management team to be able to kind of help facilitate all those things for you. So all the bands and artists on our roster, they're at that level, to kind of pay their dues, so to speak, and really do need our help in being able to navigate, make decisions with labels, making sure it's the right label deal, making sure that if they're getting, they're going on tours, that's all getting figured out, working with the booking manager. So we're, like I said, we're very selective and proud of the roster that we do have.
Does the band sign like a contract with you, or how does that work?
All of our artists do sign a contract with us, a management agreement. A lot of different legalese in there, but it's standard in the business, right? Making sure that we do hold both of our sides accountable. Um, and to be clear, we are a management and development company, so we do work. Obviously, we have the bands that we manage, but we also work with bands that we don't manage. They could either be managed by somebody else or be independent, and they come to us for developmental services, or they need help with recording, promotions, and marketing. We can help them on the outside. Obviously, they just pay a fee, but they don't sign anything with us. It's just more or less they come to us, hire us to do whatever, and that's it. But for our managed artists, yeah, they do sign an agreement, and we before we even enter into that, we kind of sit down and discuss expectations. Like, we want to know what their expectations are. Is it reasonable? Can we honestly meet what their expectations are? If it's too out of left field, then we'll let them know, hey, this isn't going to happen, we can't do that, so either we need to come to agreement or it won't work out. And all of our artists are very, very reasonable on their expectations. They don't expect to become like the next big breaking Benjamin overnight. They know that it's going to be something where they have to kind of put in the effort. But the way we work is that our team, they get assigned a particular manager that'll work with them in a management team. So that manager has assistants that are helping and facilitate different things. But behind the scenes, everybody's working collectively, and my team works really, really hard to make sure that everybody's getting fair treatment, that they're getting all the fair opportunities. So the bands are very, I mean, they're very appreciative of that. So I mean, we've never had an experience where somebody's expectations were outside what we could deliver. I mean, one of the things we pride ourselves on is being very transparent, having open communication, because that was one of the things we knew was a downfall in the management side, was people would sign to a management company and there would be no communication. They wouldn't hear from them. Maybe they send an email, maybe 2 weeks later they get contacted by somebody. They didn't have anyone's phone number. If they did, they had to leave a voicemail and then wait to call back. Um, with us, we communicate with them on a daily basis, whether it's through messenger, text, phone calls. We have check-in calls and kind of weekly or biweekly to plan for things. Um, we even tried, because of our family culture, we even had to the point where we bring all of our bands and staff onto one call and just kind of brainstorm and talk and whatnot. So we're very big on that transparency, open communication, flow of communication, and being able to know everybody that's within MVK and knowing that everybody's there to support you.
Yeah, I noticed like some of these services you offer, like substance abuse, like it's a mental health awareness and stuff. Like that's really good to have right now. To have something like that where you could just reach out if you need to talk, you could talk to somebody confidentially and like that.
And that actually came out, we were already, this is obviously before COVID, we were actually, we wanted to get into the other areas, right? So MVK, as it stands, is very artist facing. All of our services, what we do is direct between us and the artist. We wanted to come out with, first of all, one of the things we want to do is create, we call it MVK Music Media, but a way to connect our fans or the fans with the artists that we manage. And so we're launching that with a podcast. We're launching that with basically documentaries behind the scenes and things like that. But as we're talking about that, Jesse, Attila, and I were like, we want to do something to kind of give back to the community and really have a foundation or a nonprofit side of MVK. And we kind of always toyed around with the mental health thing, but that became even more true during the last year with artists. Everybody, the whole industry was shut down, and we saw it firsthand with some of our artists. They were getting into slumps. They felt like things were never going to turn back around. It was affecting their music writing. It was affecting a lot of different things. And so we said, let's put a focus on this. Let's kind of corral the resources that we can to be able to provide that to them. And even, I mean, not even just our artists, but make artists in general aware that those services are out there. Um, Over the last, I would say probably during the last year, we partnered with Supporting Act Counseling, which is run by Paul Kiger. He's actually a former touring artist. Then he became a licensed mental health counselor and started Supporting Act. But he's one of those guys that it's perfect. He's been in their shoes. He knows that, and he has the capacity to be able to kind of help them get through those stages. And so we offer that as a resource to our artists. But that's something we always promote publicly, that hey, like, people don't realize, fans don't realize, and sometimes even people on the business side don't realize the pressures that artists go under when they're writing music or when they're trying to put out, they're under a label or they're touring. They don't understand. They think it's just a glamorous life, and they don't get to see how much pressure it puts on them if they're married and have kids, on their families. So we wanted to kind of raise awareness to that, to say, hey, artists don't, a lot of times it used to be one of those things where they were afraid to even say something because they felt like it was going to be like a black cloud over their head, or they was going to cause a stigma. Oh, you're an artist, you don't have a bad life. Instead of hiding it, they're more free. So kind of destigmatizing that kind of mentality and showing them that it's okay to get help and get yourself mentally in the right space, that you can go out there and perform to your best of your abilities.
Now, with the development part of you're developing these artists, do you like sit down with them and like write out goals, and what do you do with that part of it?
Outside of the bands that we manage, bands that come to us that are looking, if we say like you're not really ready for management right now, there's things you can work on. We do offer a lot of different things that bands can help to get to that point, and that ranges from anything on the creative side. So EPK, we do custom EPKs and promo videos, websites, logo, graphic design, any of that stuff. But then we also get into other things like media and interviewing, image consulting, like how, if I'm going to be in an interview, how should I speak or how should I present myself? Songwriting, just any of that stuff that they really are not refined in, we can help them with that. So, we started off, when we first kind of kicked it off, we were just offering the services a la carte, or you could kind of put them together. And, Jesse and I were talking, and we're like, we should put together some packages and say, hey, you can do this on a monthly basis. And then say, first month, we build out a plan and say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to work on, if you don't already have a logo and branding done for the band or for your, you as a solo artist, we'll help create that. And then second month, we'll shift over into helping you set up social media and talk about how to engage with fans and how to be interactive. And then shift over into other things like, kind of talking about the consistent content creation or songwriting, getting vocal coaching if it's something where they're a good band, but the vocalist needs a little help, then we can put them into contact with one of our vocal coaches to kind of get them on par with that. But it's everybody's different, so their needs are not going to be the same from one band or one artist to the next. So we kind of sit down and do a consultation call and find out what their needs are, and then we can make an assessment and say, here's what we recommend, and then break it up into manageable chunks for them so that they can do it. Sometimes they come to us and maybe they just need an EBK design. They're established and they're like, hey, we need an updated EBK. We love the way you guys do EBKs. Can you do it for us? Or we need a website. Can your team help do this? Those are one-off things we can do, but we treat them just like any other one of our other bands, right? I mean, we put everybody first. So we know that if we do a website or EPK for them, they're probably going to come back to us and use it again for something else because they felt comfortable and we're happy with the service that our team provided.
Basically, it's the artist first, and you focus on that and get everything prepared for them to go on to the next level.
Yeah, so it's basically kind of walking them, or I don't want to say hand holding, but it's kind of like getting them prepared and kind of coaching them along. I'd say coaching is probably a good word, coaching them to get to that point. I mean, and who knows, as they progress and have gotten those things, maybe that's we say, hey, that is a band that we would definitely take on under management. We've got them to that point now. Now they're ready. Or maybe like I will be the first one to say, like, not all bands need management, and sometimes a band can manage itself. That's not always the case because sometimes, like I said, they do get inundated, and booking in it is like a whole different beast in and of itself. So, but the managing the day to day, if they have a good knowledge of the business, if they understand some of the legal side of things, they could get by with doing that. And I've had a lot of bands that we don't manage contact me and say, "Hey, Brian, can I just ask you for your opinion on something?" And I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm gonna have to charge you for the hour, to talk to you. I will give them my opinion because it's really about, looking out for them and making sure that they don't get screwed over, that somebody's not out there taking advantage of them. Because when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, I do this because I'm passionate about, you know, music. I'm passionate about helping artists, and it's not about making money. That's the thing that I'm most proud of with my business partners is that we do this because of the, it's unreal. If you look at how many like talented bands are out there that nobody knows about, or maybe they know about them, but it's only in their hometown. So many bands that they just don't get the attention, and they don't know how to get to that next level or what to do. So just to see the progression of bands, and being able to kind of figure it out and kind of guiding them and seeing them get bigger and be more confident in themselves, I think is just rewarding in and of itself.
I had a question here about what makes your management company different from the rest, but that's basically you're just putting the artist first in that category.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, that definitely is. Our motto is artist first. I would say definitely that's the biggest differentiator. And the fact that we treat them like family, right? The way we look at it is if you're putting them first, if they were your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mom, dad, whoever, how would if you were helping them with something, would you take advantage of them? Would you do this? Would you lie to them? Would you? No, you wouldn't. So I mean, we theoretically treat them like family. We know their birthdays. We know, we're very close with all of them. And that kind of culture, it's grown because not only have we created that within our staff, but with our bands, they support each other. And some of them are not even in the same state and they've never met each other in person. But because they're part of this connected family, they are supporting each other. And it goes cross genre, reggae and country, metal and country. I mean, they're all supportive of each other. And that to me, I look back on that and I see them supporting each other, whether, sharing posts or, you know, helping each other with, connecting them to somebody at a venue. It's just good to see that they're looking out for each other. They do feel like they're part of a broader family unit. So
What'd you do while we were like locked down for the year? What was your game plan during that time? Being really couldn't tour, book tours, or anything like that?
yeah, I mean, I remember last year we kind of kicked off. Jesse and I started off in LA. We went to NAMM, and we had all these plans of what we were going to be doing with the bands and things that we're going to be doing. And we ended up going to Chicago. We had two of our artists. Actually, we met one of our artists while we were out there. And then right after that, a couple months later, we everything was locked down and everything shut down. Venues closed, no more live music. And so we kind of started to say, okay, what are we going to do next? Bands were freaking out because they were like, well, we can't play. What are we going to do? And so we kind of were early in the trend of doing live streams, using Twitch or Facebook, and doing those live things. And those did well, but they kind of died off. We partnered with, like I said, Super Dave, who's our media host and brand ambassador. We were doing basically like a full on concert in a production studio and then televising it via social media, and those were good. But again, like the engagement started to drop off. People were like, I'm stuck in front of a computer all day. I'm not going to watch live music that much. So, for us as a company, we said, okay, we need to start using this time, wisely. On a normal day to day, we don't have time to even think. So this allowed us, it was a blessing in disguise because it actually allowed us to plan for our own strategy and growth of the company. It allowed us to grow our staff. It allowed us to kind of pivot and look at things that we wanted to do that, like I said, MVK Cares kind of came out of that. So it really allowed us to build out things that we probably wouldn't have done had things just continue to happen. Um, we talked about doing a 3-day music festival here in Florida, and obviously that got put on the back burner. But out of that, we were able to create. We made a connection with a distillery up in the Panhandle that's got like 300 acres, and now we're talking about doing another music festival there. So we're going to have multiple different events. So it really afforded us the time to be able to strategize more. And like I said, we built our staff during that time. We took on some additional bands during that time, and really look at growth, for MVK. One of the things I'm most proud about during that time is we expanded outside the United States. So we have some friends of ours that had a management company out in the UK, and we kind of just brought them under our wing and said, all right, so we kind of absorbed them as part of MVK, and now we have presence in the UK. And people look back and say, well, there's no touring going on. It's like, yeah, but we're planning ahead so that when it does come back, we're already ahead of the ball. We're not sitting there trying to strategize. So we were able to, expand our staff, expand our footprint outside of the United States, even outside of Florida, and really focus on our artists for them writing new music. We had a lot of good EPs, albums, and singles come out of it, because they had the time to really sit down and write music, and a lot of it was reflective of COVID and the pandemic and things like that. But it really was a blessing in disguise. And now we're at the point now that everything is coming back, that they have more music to go out there with. We have the foresight and things that we were working on now that we can put into play. So it really worked to our advantage.
Now, this festival you were talking about, would that be like a roster of all your bands playing there or what?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have a few different styles. I mean, we're going to do a reggae. My business partner Jesse and I are, we're big reggae guys, so we'll do something that's very, much a reggae style festival. But a lot of what we're going to do, the multi-day ones, will be rock and metal. And we want to be able to do those in different geographical areas, not just here in Florida. We've got country on our roster, so we'll definitely country's always been, pretty good as far as attendance for those festivals. So we'll do a few different ones, and really playing that. So yeah, they'll have some of our artists, but we'll also have outside bands, national bands, headlining bands, and then bands that are not part of MVK are more than welcome to be, involved in that as well. As we're starting to plan for those and whatnot. So
What are you currently listening to as far as new music?
new music, man, there's so much new music, and that's kind of the great thing about these phones is that you can just pick it up, and either Spotify or Apple Music will suggest stuff to you. And I do go on social media and I get music sent my way all the time. So many. I've got so many of the classic bands that I listen to, but my playlist has expanded over the last 2 years. I have so much indie rock and metal that it's just amazing. I mean, obviously, I listen to all of our bands. I wouldn't be doing them justice if I didn't, and they are some of my favorite bands. But I've come across some amazing talented artists. There's a gentleman, he goes by Hume, Hume, music, and just great vocals, talented guy. Listening to a lot of like Blackheart Saints. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different bands. But like I said, most of my playlists are going to be stuff I grew up listening to, or it's going to be MVK bands because it's part of what we get so passionate about their music, and anytime they get something new, we add it, and that's what we're streaming.
When everything opens back up, this is what my idea of what it's going to be like. The music scene is going to be flooded and there's going to be shows every night. Do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I kind of we're already kind of seeing that, right? So we are in the process right now. We already have some shows scheduled for some of our bands are playing shows this month, but we at MVK we also do event production. So we are putting on some local shows, concerts, showcases, festival, things like that. And so as we're starting to reserve venues, venues are filling up quicker. And before it was like a Friday or Saturday night. Now you're starting to see like Tuesdays, Wednesday. Like I think at this point fans are going to want to go catch music. So if they can see a band that they've heard of or that they follow that they like, and it doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, or if it's a Thursday or Friday night, they're going to go. And bands, they're chomping at the bit just to get onto a live stage again and be able to feel that energy. So I definitely agree that it's going to be something where it's going to be, we're, like I said, we're already seeing it. We're starting to see dates fill up, starting to see the big venues like House of Blues and Hard Rock Live and all them starting to announce shows for, summer or beyond. So I think we're going to start to see that. But the cool thing is a lot of the more, like independent or emerging artists like our bands, they were kind of at the forefront. They were the ones, national bands weren't, for them, they couldn't really go and play a show because if it's limited capacity, they may not make their money, that they normally would in touring. So if you're an emerging band, you'll play for $250, $500, $1,000, whatever you're going to play. And so they were able to go out there and test and see like how were people going to react to live music coming back. Um, can it come back? And we've started to see that happening with our bands and with other bands. And so I think now it's full steam ahead, especially with like the vaccine coming out and things like that. People feel more comfortable. So I definitely say by summer and beyond, we're going to see festivals back. We're going to see full national touring acts starting to come back, and for sure the local scenes are going to be flooded.
Is there anything else you would like to add that I missed out on here?
You did a really good job. I mean, it's good to have somebody that interviews that does their research a little bit beforehand. Knows a little bit about the MVK stuff. For us, it's just I'm very passionate, very excited about what we do, and the fact that things are coming back now, and that I'm seeing the energy level of our bands come back. For me, us being able to put on events, that's what I love. I love going out there and watching the fans' reaction and seeing everybody just kind of come together as one. So, and I miss that. We haven't had that for over a year now. So, the fact that we get to have that come back is just, I mean, it's a blessing for us to be able to do that. But like I said, MVK, we're full service, and we try to cater to everybody, make sure that we have something that can help everybody get to that next level. And like I said, I started this company with the mindset of not because I wanted to be rich and make money or do anything. It was because I wanted to create a change in the industry. I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids and someone say like, look, if you want to go out and do something and you feel like you can do it the right way, do it. Don't let anybody stop you. And so I'm proud, my business partners, I mean, two of the best guys out there that I have the honor of knowing and being friends with. Actually, I'm just Jesse's his daughter is my goddaughter. So when we talk about family, it stretches beyond the MVK side of things. But our staff, like we couldn't do it if it wasn't for the staff that we have. They are just as dedicated and passionate and caring about the music industry and about the bands that we work with. So I owe it all to them and their dedication for making MVK what it is.
Where can we get a hold of you at? Websites, Facebook?
Yeah. So website, mvkmusicgroup.com. We are on Instagram at MVK Music Group. We're on Facebook, MVK Music Group. And then we also on LinkedIn, we utilize that in Twitter as well. So we do have a YouTube channel. We have TikTok. We have a fantastic social media specialist. She does all of our TikTok stuff, but we are there. So we try to pretty much be everywhere. But anyone looking for information on what MVK does or a little bit more of us, that is on our website, which is mvkmusicgroup.com.